Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
You've been here at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium for about 2 days now. You've watched a lot of the action here. Can you just tell us a bit about what you've experienced here so far?
Well, I think that I've experienced quite some interesting, outings by our athletes. I mean, when I came in yesterday, I had some kind of interaction with the athletes. For me, the one-on-one interactions and the engagement that I had, it's one of the things I wanted to achieve. I mean, sit together and what's my contribution here? To see whether my coming here is motivational enough, whether my coming here is indicative enough of how government, is serious about this and considers this important and wants to give every support that it can to continue to encourage our athletes. And I've also, interacting with the president of the AFN and other board members and officials. I find that there's quite some excitement about some of the outcomes in some of the contests that that are proceeded here, and those outcomes give them a lot of confidence about the fact that the outing that's going to take place in Douala, right, the African Championships, that also is going to lead to the Paris Olympics. They're quite optimistic that with the kinds of outcomes and performances here, that there is real cause for all of us to actually be happy and be expectant.
So, sir, when we look at Nigeria's participation at the Olympics, track and field has won more medals for Nigeria at the Olympics than any other sport. As we approach Paris, what kind of support will track and field receive from the ministry?
Well, it's because of that exactly. That's why it was important for the minister to be here. If the minister is not present at this track and field, at this, Nigeria Open Championships, then it would in itself, understate, what the country appreciates of athletics and especially track and field. So, what we're going to do is that we're going to continue to give as much support as we can. Yesterday, when I interacted with the athletes, I committed to the fact that I was going to be with them in Douala, right? And there's no gainsaying that I'm going to be at the Olympics as well. I'm going to try to do as much of the visitation as possible. It's the issue about funding, it's still work in progress. But I think that with the kind of commitment, with the kind of zeal, and the kind of passion with which I and the ministry has taken our job so far, the kind of encouragement we've had from Mr. President, we can only continue to improve upon what our funding and our support in terms of funding for our athletes and for track and field will be.
Sir, Benin is already over. We have Cameroon ahead of us. We've had some talk about how the team going to live, but you are in charge of sport, and as it concerns preparation for Cameroon, will you say we are ready? And if we are ready, how are we going? How is the athletes going to Cameroon, and what are the preparations looking like?
When I got in yesterday, of course, I was greeted with that concern, and the president of the NFL had tried to share with me some options that were being worked at. But I think that this morning I called him up and I said, you know what? Our athletes have to travel with the best option that's available. Yesterday we talked about option 1, option 2, right? We have no option 2, we have option 1. And I think that option 1 is that athletes are going to be flown to Douala, right? And every arrangement is being made to make sure that takes place. While in Benin, I've been communicating with the Ministry, with the Permanent Secretary, and everyone who's concerned about the fact that we cannot not do this. So I can assure you that that's what's going to happen.
Honorable Minister, sir, I'm a little bit alarmed because some of the athletes projected to perform here later reneged. And when we asked, it was that these athletes are feeling something on the legs and they couldn't run. There are some of them elite athletes. And if that is true,
They are feeling what?
they are feeling something. When you run and feel something, the rule says you should stop so it's not aggravated. And some of them are feeling something. Many of them didn't run here. So if we are going to Douala and this persists, how are they going to perform that? That is exactly...
I believe that the NFN and the AFN has the full complements of every technical staff, right? Since I came in yesterday, I've had Professor Ken Anugweje is part of what is going on here. We got, psychologists, we got physios, we got all of that in place. So I think that whatever gaps and whatever you've noticed, I believe that, I mean, Douala is not tomorrow, and timing and all of that, remains very, very important. So I have a great hope that by the time it gets to Douala, that we're going to get all our athletes up and running.
Okay, speaking about the home-based athletes, we have a young boy that ran the long distance race today. This simply means we have a big prospect. Is there any support, is there any plan or arrangement from the federal government through the AFN about making or churning out a lot of young talent?
Well, if you also watched at the end of that, that run, right, that everybody was excited about, I'd actually sought to speak to the young boy, and he was brought up to where I sat, and he asked for his coach, and I've already directed that the coach, comes with the young boy to my office in Abuja, and contacts and details have already been exchanged with members of my support staff. Just to let you know that I'm not just here for fun, just to let you know that there's renewed thinking, in the ministry, in accordance with the renewed hope of our president, that I take this job seriously. With passion that I pursue it. I take it like, it's personal to me, because I think that the successes that, the sports sector records has a rebound in terms of the joy and the excitement to Nigerians and all of that. And we're not joking with that. So I've already directed that be done. And that whenever we find this kind of, significant performance, this kind of, we jump at it, we don't just ignore it.
Thank you very much.
It's a shining light.
Okay, finally,
Thank you very
Minister,
much.
when you took over office, you mentioned that you're not going to be a minister of football, but a minister for all sports, and you're living to that. Sir, another legacy for Nigeria is paying athletes allowance. We are not having that complaint. Now, are you going to put a legacy in place to ensure that even after your tenure, athletes allowance will no longer be an issue in this country?
Well, let me tell you, there's one thing that challenges me the most about athletes' welfare. It challenges me the most. It's about close to a year. I've been greeted severally by two sets of athletes. Those that are long retired and they're very pitiable state, and those that are still competing, who are not encouraged by the examples and the indications of neglect by those that have long retired. And I think that whatever is going to be done or is being done, it's not just going to be done in terms of one-off or whatever. We want to try to institutionalize what we do. And I think that my imagination is currently being taxed in terms of what is the best right model that can be put in place that is going to be enduring and that is going to be satisfying for athletes, that will continue to get them to understand that the kind of visibility that they continue to give the country, this country owes them quite a great deal. And I've made various statements here and there. I've made statements, for example, that people don't even think are workable. But those statements are coming out of my genuine feeling and desire for making sure that there's something that should change, for those who are still competing and for those who are no more, and things like that. And I can assure you that it's not going to stop with me as Minister of Sports Development. We're going to make sure it's institutionalized so that anybody else can continue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.